Hello, everyone. Welcome to this special episode of Class C3 podcast. Today, we're going to explore what lies behind the language policies that govern us. So, let's start with this question. Do we really learn languages to connect with the world, or are we just gears in an economic machine?
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. It's a thought question, but a necessary one. Today we are going to analyze how the instrumentalization of languages classes with the community identity. Drawing on recent shit from Colombia, Brazil, and other parts of the world.
Okay, thanks for that. So let's start with what Susurica and Rua call neoliberal agendas. It seems that English is no longer a language, but a technical skill. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Bilingualism is marked as the key to economic success, but authors like Lively and Miguel in Brazil warn us that this creates an elite bilingualism. Those who can afford it gain access to the global market, while the rest are left behind.
Yeah, and that's evident in the CAF report. Public schools often prioritize economic competitiveness over cultural development, and languages are actually instrumentalized. It is said, learn English to be productive. But what about becoming a more critical person, or at least one who is more aware of the surroundings?
That's a key point. While national policies push English, what your students resist that coloniality. For them, maintaining their language is an act of political identity. It's not just about speaking, it's about existing.
But as always, there is resistance. And one case by which I was particularly amazed, it was actually highlighted by Gutierrez and Frias, and it is the survivance of Guayo schools in La Guajira. Let's discuss that.
Exactly, and that's where the importance of what Miranda and other authors propose regarding Colombia comes in. We need policies that recognize real multilingual practices in higher education, not just importing models that don't fit in our reality.
And it's an interesting contrast to what Jason Sinus mentions about the base country. There we can see that language policy has been managed to ensure that the local identity and multilingualism coexist. It can actually happen by protecting the local against the global.
That inclusion isn't just about putting everyone in the same classroom, but about creating an equitable system. In language education, that means valuing the student linguistic repertoire. Their identity, rather than imposing an external agenda.
To wrap up, let's bring in the case of Uruguay. Do you remember that one? In your opinion, what lessons does Uruguay offer us according to what was mentioned by Ainscow and Fayola?
I completely agree. And the fact is, if we think about it, fostering identity means allowing students to bring their own reality into the classrooms. This is where the concept like translanguaging really come into their own. It's not just about students learning how to order coffee in London, but about them being able to tell their own story and assert their identity using all the language they know.
Yeah, and the conclusion that I have is that language teaching is actually a political battleground, and we have to be aware of that, especially as future teachers and researchers. Our task should be to look beyond what is considered as a tool and actually work to preserve people's identity.
And that leads us to questions our own position. As a teacher, we have the power to decide whether we follow the script of those neoliberal agendas mentioned by Serki and Rua, or whether we create spaces for resistance. For example, in public schools, are we preparing students merely to be call centers operators, or are we giving them the tools to understand how global policies affect their lives?
Exactly. That's what Miranda and her team argue regarding higher education in Colombia. We keep ignoring people's actual multilingual practices. In the system, it seems that it only values standard English, disregarding mixed forms or local languages, the ones we have in here in Colombia. So it seems that we're erasing students' identities, and it's actually a way to tell them that the way they speak has no academic value.
What a powerful idea. At the end of the day, it's about fostering critical thinking citizens, not just bilingual employees. The CAF report presents the statistics and economic goals, but we who are in the classroom see the student faces dream and struggles. Our job is to humanize the public policy, which sometimes seems so cold and distant.
And it is a huge pedagogical challenge, that one. Let's consider what we already mentioned about why schools. They teach us that education can be an act of survivance. If a teacher can help a young indigenous person to use English to speak out against injustice, or at least to share a bit about their culture to the world, then in that case, in that scenario, the language ceases to be a tool of the market and it becomes a tool of liberation.
That's right. We are not just translators of a code or grammar experts. We are mediators between cultures and realities. I think if we can help our students feel proud of they are while learning a new language, we have won the battle against the instrumentalization.
That is why it is so important for teachers to also be researchers of our own practices. As teachers, we need to start documenting these tensions so that the next language policy is not drafted only in an office without any kind of context, but rather based on the reality of the classrooms in Bogota, La Guajira, or any other region, so that it is contextualized. And by this, we could contribute to view education from the sociolinguistic perspective, which is actually required, and that helps empowering us to transform the classroom into a space of true equity and social justice. And that'll be all for today. I really appreciate your time. I consider it was actually a quite productive conversation. So thank you